what's going on with Devante Adams in the Las Vegas Raiders? What's the deal here? Because when I sit there and I think, why didn't you trade Devante Adams this offseason? Why didn't you trade him? Because obviously he wanted to go there because Derek Carr was there, and now Derek Carr is not there anymore with Gardner Minshew. And then Antonio Pierce liked an Instagram post basically saying that he thinks Devante Adams played his last snap as a Raider. The Raiders have failed Devante Adams. They should have traded him this offseason if it made any bit of sense. The Raiders are a dumpster fire. So my thing with Devante Adams is what team can take Devante Adams? Well, I wrote down all 32 teams today, and the suitors that I came up with were the Saints, the Commanders, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Steelers, the Bills, and the Jets. Now, some people say, why do you say the Chiefs? Obviously, they're not going to trade Devante Adams in the same division. I totally understand that. But he's still a suitor. If the Raiders were desperate and they didn't have any other suitors, maybe the Chiefs. But my team for the Devante Adams max it's 100% the Jets. It's just a match made in heaven. He wanted to go to the Jets this offseason, but the trade package that would probably make the most sense for Devante Adams to go to the Jets would be Hassan Reddick, because he's holding out right now with the Jets. The Jets traded for Hassan Reddick from the Eagles this past offseason, but he hasn't played it down yet because they haven't decided, because he wants a new contract. So he's a free agent. Needs a new contract, so they could trade him to the Raiders. Then they could get Devante Adams along with some picks. So that would probably make the most sense. Now, a wildcard team could come into play, maybe like the Saints. The only problem with the Saints is they don't have a lot of cap space, but he could go to the Saints because they want to play, or he would play with Derek Carr, who he played with in Las Vegas, and then Aaron Rodgers, of course, who he played with in Green Bay. So those two teams potentially there, but the Jets makes the most sense. But I want to hear who you think Devante Adams, what team he'll go to.
I mean, I think the Jets would be cool to see, like Aaron Rodgers comeback tour. But yeah, I also can't help but to think like the Saints don't really have a big name at wide receiver. So the Saints could be looking for a standout number one guy. So yeah, I think those are two great options.
And the Cowboys came out today and said that, or there was a reporter that said Devante Adams will not be going to the Cowboys, which makes total sense. I mean, they have CeeDee Lamb, but they already paid Dak. They don't have a lot of cap space anyway, so you can rule out the Cowboys there. So really, I think it's down to the Jet. Well, the Steelers are in play as well, and the Bills could be a potential suitor. But they just traded Stephon Diggs. I call him Diva Diggs. He's now on the Texans. So there was no point why, if you got rid of the wide receiver one, as in Diggs, why would you try to go get Devante Adams, who's kind of a diva as well, who demands the ball? I talked about this on last week's episode where Josh Allen, he looks a little bit better because the pressure is not as on him as much as it has, because I don't have to get the ball to Diggs every single play. I don't have to worry about Diggs. It's instead of me, team. So that's the thing there. So we'll shut that down there. I think it's really going to be down to the Jets and the Saints and the Steelers, but I don't think Devante Adams would want to go to the Steelers because obviously they have Justin Fields. I know Russell Wilson hasn't played it down yet, and Justin Fields has been, pretty good as for this first 4 weeks of the season, but I don't see the Steelers. I really think it's the Jets or the Saints, and I'm gonna sit here and I think it's going to be the Jets. Now, we don't know when the trade is going to happen, but it'll probably happen here in the next few weeks, I would imagine so. So there's the Devante Adams. That's big news of the NFL. I mean, I was watching when I watched the the series Wide Receiver on Netflix, when they did quarterback last year, they showed Devante Adams and his body language and how he handled it with the Raiders, and it just kind of looked awkward there. So like I said, they should have traded him this offseason, but now here we are in 4 weeks into the season, and the Raiders and Devante Adams actually have had no contact in the past few days.
Really? Joe, I'm
no contact.
I'm sick of diva receivers, I'll be honest.
I think everybody is at this point.
It's like, dude, get over yourself, And what I think is funny, honestly, Devante Adams got exactly what he was coming for. He thought the grass was greener, and hopefully he's learned his lesson. Like, stick around. If he was with the Packers, he'd probably be looking at an uptick. Like they'd be coming. They're looking up now that Jordan Love has hit his stride. He's out though right now, isn't he?
He played last week, but he actually came back last week, but he's still not 100%. He came back from the MCL, but still, I mean, but then again, I can also see Devante Adams in his case too, because you want to play with Derek Carr. If you're going to trade me and the franchise doesn't want me and the Packers didn't want to pay him, I get it. You wanted to go to the Raiders. Now he could have stayed with the Packers and elevated with Jordan Love and stayed around. A lot of young guys there. So I do understand that point, but this here on out, it's like, it's all about Devante Adams. It's all about Devante Adams. And like you said, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And now he's getting the feeling of the Raiders suck. So trade me. It's kind of feels like a James Harden situation where I was at this team, now I'm going to the next team, and now I'm going to another team. Now, if the Jets and Devante Adams don't work out, which if he goes there, right, or if he goes to the Saints and it doesn't work out there, then what's going on there? Who's the problem? So
yeah, I mean, he will have looked back on his career hopping around teams like, a lot of who else? I mean, Antonio Brown, the end of his career, he just was a complete wildfire.
Yep. Steelers, Raiders, Steelers, Raiders, Patriots, Bucks. Yep.